Rob Bro Show. I am Rob Bro. I am the host. You are the co-host. You can co-host today by commenting on the Starting Line chat line. Starting Line chat line brought to you by Starting Line Counseling. He will join the show. The man, the myth, the legend, Chase from Starting Line Counseling will join the show on Friday. So we'll talk a little track and field and maybe some brick and mortar talk when we get there. Should be a fun time. Carson, how you doing?
What's up?
Won a basketball game. Well, we didn't win a basketball game. Texas Tech won a basketball game this weekend, beating West Virginia. I wanted to confirm. We said colloquially, I don't think that's the right word, but we said in passing that was the second time we've ever won. I said we again. Texas Tech has ever won in West Virginia. I'm going to double check that, but go down big again. You're down 20-4, 20-2, whatever it was. Come all the way back. What does that say about Texas Tech, Coach Gass, especially after that Texas game where you just couldn't really – I mean, you fought back, but it was like from 30 and you got to a 12.
Yeah, it was too late.
But what about this weekend? What does that tell you about the team?
Yeah, I mean, to go on the road and win at West Virginia, that's a tough thing to do. There's not a lot of teams that do that a ton. Now, this year there's been more than usual that have gone on the road, but there's also been some that have gone on the road and stubbed their toe at West Virginia. Texas, I think Kansas was one of those as well. So it's not like Morgantown is an easy spot to play, and we all know that. It doesn't matter how good or whatever West Virginia is. It's just a tough place to play. Obviously, Texas Tech has not won there a ton, but for you to be able to go back and here's the thing too, you don't have your big man, Warren Washington, not playing again. You don't know when you're going to get him back, by the way. You probably won't see him the final 2 games of the regular season either. Just throwing that out there because now you're in the NCAA tournament. I don't know you probably don't need him against Oklahoma State. Even though they're not a terrible ball club, they're just not as talented and deep as others. But Chance McMillan was great again off the bench, and that's been huge for Texas Tech, especially on the road, both at Oklahoma and here at West Virginia. I thought Darian Williams was fantastic again. Pop Isaacs didn't shoot it well, but he finds ways to just find other guys and facilitate and then get his points when he can. I think the coaching style that Grant McCasland has and the faith that he has in the dudes that he puts on the floor, and we talk about this in sports all the time, it's finding the right guys to put in the right seats on the bus or the plane, whatever you want to say on a trip like this. And you find those guys, and those are the guys that you go win with. Because that's what this team is like they found the guys they can go win with, and Warren Washington was a big piece of that. So was Devin Cambridge, but without those guys, you got to find maybe one other guy to step up. And I thought Yalaho he wasn't fantastic, but he did his job when he came in to do his work, and he played probably the most minutes he's played all year long. And I thought he did what you needed from him to win a game on the road in the Big 12.
And him and Jennings combined, like Captain Planet, were serviceable.
Yes. Yeah, and that's what you need them to be.
The production was serviceable, obviously enough to win you one. We were way off on the record at Morgantown.
They've won a few more then.
Yeah, so you're 10-18 against West Virginia. 9-14 as Big 12 opponents. You are on a 1-game winning streak, but you're 4-8. 4-8 in Morgantown. You won in 2019, and then you lost in Morgantown in 2020 and 2021, and now you're on a 3-game winning streak. So big bad Morgantown, not quite what it was.
Not getting to the Red Raiders lately, that's for sure.
You won by 7 in 22. That's your Sweet 16 season. And then you won by 6 in 23 when you didn't beat anybody, especially not on the road, except for West Virginia, apparently. And then you won by 9. So,
yeah.
Back.
And also, a guy like Joe Toussaint going back to Morgantown, And for all the naysayers that have been on Joe Toussaint all year long of how he hasn't really helped this team, he's hurt this team more than he's helped them. Whatever you see all out there on the Twitter sphere, X, whatever it's called now, Joe Toussaint I thought he was great, and on Saturday, obviously leads you in points. He plays 37 minutes in the game. Him and Darian Williams, 40 minutes for Darian Williams, never came out of the ball game. 40 stinking minutes for a power forward to play in a Division I college basketball game. That is awesome. And to get the play out of him that you got, especially late from Darian Williams, he was not gassed at the end of the game. And that's a credit to the strength conditioning program of this ball club that Grant McCaslin has put together on staff. That's a credit to the rest of the team for knowing when Darian kind of needs a break down the floor, switching on the defensive side, getting him into good situations to help him stay on the floor. Joe Toussaint the same way. That's big for a team like Texas Tech. For Darian Williams to be able to play 40 minutes, Toussaint plays 37, Chance McMillan off the bench plays 30, and then Pop plays 33 minutes. But I just thought that Darian Williams and Joe Toussaint were your main keys in the cog of this thing. But Chance McMillan he's been the best sixth man in the Big 12. I don't know. I can't think off the top of my head a better sixth man off the bench this year in the Big 12. If he doesn't win the Sixth Man of the Year award, it's going to be I'm going to be hard pressed to find someone who's been better than Chance McMillan this year off the bench in the Big 12.
I mean, yeah, there was
a guy from BYU. I can't remember what his name is.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I'll say this
He's
too.
performed well off the bench.
I mean, I think Darian Williams is in the top conversation. 3 or 4 is Big 12 newcomer
here. At least the top 3 or 4. Yeah.
If he has 20 or 25 in the last couple of games, if he goes for 30 again, which I'm not expecting, but if he does, against Oklahoma State and Stillwater or against Baylor at home, he has another huge game. I think it could be. Now, obviously, there's Max Asmus, who's here for the first year, who's had a solid run, and Hunter Dickinson, who is a media darling for some reason. I don't know. He's had a decent season. Obviously, I'm just being a hater, I guess, but it's interesting. By the way, Kansas losing again. 7. Count them 7. Their most Big 12 losses ever. Now, Texas Tech locking in most people's opinions, not just my opinion, an NCAA tournament berth. Right now on bracketmatrix.com, Carson. This is a conglomerate.
They pull together all these brackets from different places. Yeah.
Brackets. I was trying to count maybe 100 brackets. I don't know how many. Yeah. Last updated yesterday. So Big 12 games in the count. Lots of these brackets updated to at least March 1st. So you get a lot of games in there. Texas Tech currently on Bracket Matrix, a 7 seed. That's kind of where I think they'll finish. If you win 2 in a Big 12 tournament game, maybe you're 6. Could even be a 5 if you flip.
Yeah, if you win out and then you win a couple in the Big 12 tournament, you're probably a 5 seed.
Yeah, get a little spicy there, though.
Because that would be a win over Baylor at the end of the year, too.
But what I'm surprised about, not surprised until the 3 line. Houston's a 1 seed. Maybe the second overall 1 seed behind Connecticut. They have Purdue as the 1 seed overall, but I don't buy that.
I think it's Connecticut or Houston that's the number 1 overall seed to be.
Purdue, Connecticut, Houston, Arizona as the 1 seeds. Tennessee, North Carolina, Marquette, Iowa State as the 2 seeds. Kansas, Baylor, Duke, Alabama as the 3 seeds. It took Texas Tech 14-4 conference championship season to get to a 3 seed.
Yeah.
And Kansas has lost 7 games with 2 remaining, but they're 7-7 in quad 1 games. If Texas Tech would play a better non-conference.
Well, and this is where the Villanova and the Butler losses come into play too. Like those are bad losses right
Yeah,
now.
but you shouldn't have that thin of a margin.
Right.
You should play Butler and Villanova and Michigan State
Yeah.
and somebody in the Champions Classic and Virginia.
Well, it's like
and
that year that you
Duke.
lost to Duke. You lost to Duke in Madison Square Garden
Yeah,
by a couple buckets, but that didn't even hurt you. That helped you
no.
at the end of the year.
Yeah, I got you a 3 seed.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it is what it is. I'm not opposed to it. I think I'd rather be a 6 seed than a 5 seed, just how it lays out, and 5
Just how the bracket's set up. Yeah.
dangerous matchups. But if you're not a top 4 seed, you can't really complain. And again, before the year, just make the tournament.
Yeah. Yeah.
Just make the tournament, and I'm
No doubt.
happy as a clam.
No doubt about that.
All right, I wanted to read the rest of the Big 12 teams here. So Baylor, a 3 seed with Kansas, and then Duke, Alabama, and then you go Creighton, Illinois, Auburn, San Diego State, Kentucky, BYU is a 5 seed, Clemson, Wisconsin, Dayton, Washington State, South Carolina, St. Mary's is 6s, Utah State, Florida, Texas Tech, Colorado State is 7s, TCU is an 8, Oklahoma is an 8, Texas is a 9. Nobody else in the Big 12 in. At larges, nobody else is at large in the Big 12. So that is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 Big 12 teams in the tournament. And I still think, I don't know, something could happen. Something could happen down the stretch. Maybe, I don't know. Oklahoma State, no. West Virginia, no. Is UCF still right there? Maybe, I don't know.
UCF and Cincinnati have an opportunity if they can win one of their next 2 to end the season. Obviously, I don't remember which ones they have left for both of those, and then win a couple games in the Big 12 tournament. And then you're talking about maybe, and because you're going to be you're talking about quad 1 wins in the Big 12 tournament because you're going to be playing a higher seed probably in the second round, obviously, and a top 25 ranked team most likely as well. So for both of those two teams, that's what they need to happen to get into the NCAA tournament. Kansas State is teetering. I mean, they're like teetering on the edge. If it depends on what they do against Kansas tomorrow night. Like Kansas could go 0-2 in their last 2 games. Kansas could finish 9-9 in this league this year because they have Kansas State and then they have at Houston. Kansas does. So at the very most, Kansas is going to go 10-8 in the Big 12. They will not win at Houston. I do not see Kansas winning at Houston. So, and if K-State can go on the road and beat Kansas, then that I think that solidifies K-State into the NCAA tournament as well for me, because that's a road win against what everybody is saying is the number 3 national seed in the NCAA tournament. That's a big win and a tournament resume win, and Kansas State will probably win in the first round in the Big 12 tournament. And I don't know who Kansas State finishes with. I mean, look, they finished with Iowa State at home in Manhattan. So if Kansas State goes 2-0, they're in their last 2. They're definitely in the conference. They finished 9-9 in the conference, and Kansas finishes 9-9 in the conference. Kansas State would have the tiebreaker over Kansas and finish higher than Kansas in the Big 12 conference.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works in the tournament world, but I guess it would in the Big 12 tournament.
Yeah, that would be how the Big 12 standings would stack up. That's why Texas Tech is above BYU and Kansas right now with identical records because they own the head-to-heads.
Yeah, if the season ended today, you'd be in the top 4, which would be a double bye.
And Kansas State would have swept Kansas this year.
Big Hen says, "Sup, Carson? You're looking handsome today."
Thank you, Big Hen. Thank you.
Always is. It's an interesting time. It's a Big 12 basketball world. March Madness. We're a week away, so the Big 12 tournament starts next Wednesday.
Yeah,
I believe Wednesday, and from their selection, Sunday's not this Sunday, but next. And then we'll
the NCAA tournament starts in 17 days. 16 days, something like that.
It's wild. And now the
right around the
AEW
corner.
tag team championships are going to be decided by a tournament because did you see this over the weekend?
I saw this on Twitter. Yeah.
Sting wrestled his final match, retained the
Right.
championships, and then retired after.
Smart.
And vacated the tag team championships.
Smart.
You usually go out on your back, but the icon goes up standing.
Yeah. Icons always have to go out on top, though, right? Like The Rock went out on top. He came back, won his champion. He's still kind of in it every now and then when they need a money boost, ratings boost, he'll come back. Cena's the same way.
No, a lot of guys in wrestling lose and pass it off to the next guys.
Yeah, Undertaker did.
I guess when you're like that, I don't know. Who knows? All right. I just wanted to get a Sting mention in there. I've been watching a lot of 90s.
I'm always down for that.
90s wrestling. I'm on a 90s wrestling kick. On a Peacock, they have all the old pay-per-view.
WCW and WWE's.
And WWE.
Yeah.
So
WWF at the time.
WWF, yeah. It's pretty crazy.
Those are the best years, right, Rob?
Oh, for sure.
Those are the best years of wrestling.
Especially because that's when I was a kid, and that's
me and you both. Everybody's going to school with Goldberg shirts.
It's geared for
Stone Cold. Yeah.
Well, that wasn't really, but
Trish Stratus.
It's crazy how
Sable
quickly it changed from like the 80s style and early 90s style Hulk Hogan, eat your prayers, say your vitamins kind of stuff.
Macho Man, yeah.
To Goldust getting his outfit ripped off by Roddy Piper.
Yeah.
He's got a thong, like women's lingerie on, a corset and women's lingerie on.
Yeah. That's the 90s for you right there, Rob.
But that's like, I think that was 95. And the Attitude Era really didn't start until 97. So,
yeah.
I guess it kind of started in 96 at WCW's Bash at the Beach, but
I had that same shirt, Roy. Same exact shirt.
We
at Bowie Elementary in here in Lubbock.
Yeah.
We always had there's like a group of friends we'd call each other like, which wrestler shirt are you wearing tomorrow? Like we had a full week's worth of wrestling shirts in the closet. And like, which one are you wearing? Because you couldn't wear the same dude, right? Everybody had to wear somebody different. So like, Dustin's wearing Stone Cold, Travis is wearing Goldberg, I'm wearing the Sting shirt. Red, my favorite Sting shirt was the red and black Sting mask face when he was in the NWO. Like that's my favorite. In the Wolfpack with Kevin Nash, my favorites right there. But yeah, good times, lots of good times. We'd fake it. We'd fake the whole thing at recess.
Oh yeah,
like tag team matches, everything on the squares.
Big time.
It was awesome. Third grade was a great time to be alive.
And then all went downhill.
Yeah.
I think it's decent. I've gotten kind of back into it, but
Diamond Dallas Page, everybody's
not
doing the to everybody, to teachers. Teachers give you a bad grade. Hey, teach.
It's Generation X.
Why did hearts just explode from the top of your head?
Dude.
I've never seen them.
Watch this. Yeah, watch this.
Mine doesn't do it.
I figured that the other day.
I've never seen that in my life.
Oh, I didn't do it.
Oh, man.
Give me the balloons. We're going off the rails here.
Yeah, we are.
Look at that.
I don't like Ron Washington and Angels and an Angels.
I'm glad he got a head coaching job, a head manager job.
Yeah, don't like it.
Man.
It feels weird to have Ron Washington as the manager for the Angels. Partly because I don't want the Angels to be good.
Yeah. He said before we get
without
started,
Shohei, they won't be.
I just want to congratulate the Texas Rangers on being World Series champs. They deserve it. Should have kept him, man. Should have hired him.
Should have.
I mean, I love Bochy now, but
yeah,
I wanted Ron back.
Well, Ron Washington's one of the best infield coaches in all of baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, you look at the Rangers whenever he was there. Elvis Andrus probably owes a lot of his career and how good he was for so long to run Washington.
Well, and look at the Braves middle infield.
Ozzie Albies, Dansby Swanson, and everything Dansby Swanson does. There was a video the other day that came out, Major League Baseball posted, of Dansby Swanson going through his daily routine of what he does. Everything he does is what Ron Washington taught to him in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Just
you do
your
that
dailies.
glove thing?
Yeah. And here's the thing too. We do that at the high school level. Every single one of our kids before practice every day is doing the exact same thing. It pays big dividends.
The Toronto Raptors are signing G League Oklahoma City Blue guard Jamias Ramsey to a 10-day contract.
Oh, nice.
The former Kings second-round pick has averaged 20.6, 7.8 rebounds, and 3.6 assists in the G League this season.
I keep thinking that sooner or later Adonis Arms is going to get picked up on a 10-day. He's had such a good year in the G League for the Memphis Hustle. Now the Grizzlies, there's really not a spot for him there, but some other team could pick him up if they want to, but maybe next year. Zaire Smith too. Speaking of those two guys, I think they're going to come. They'll be back with Matt Mooney this summer working his basketball camp.
Really?
Yeah. And Chance McMillan will be a part of that as well.
I saw that announcement. I didn't watch it all. All right. Tech baseball. In the Big 12 over the weekend, TCU stays undefeated. They are 12-0, beating USC, Arizona, whoever else. I think they might have played
Arizona State
twice. Arizona State. Good for them. They're still at the top of the Big 12. We also had Texas at the top of the Big 12 last week.
Oof, 0-3.
Now, look, Texas Tech is playing Texas Southern and Gardner-Webb. Kansas was run-ruling Texas Southern this weekend.
They only beat Texas Southern 9-1 on Saturday.
11-1, 9-1, whatever it was. I mean, you didn't beat them, 16-5 on Sunday, so we'll give you a little there. But it's a different world here, and I would say you struggle with Gardner-Webb Sunday. You put them away. You put them away, but it was 4-4 in the fifth inning, I think, and you had to get out.
And thanks to their horrendous pitching, their pitching was horrible yesterday.
So it is what it is. I don't think I would move Texas Tech over Texas for this weekend. I think Texas State should be ranked. They lost to them on Saturday. Yeah. They lost to LSU, who's obviously in the top 10, and Vanderbilt. They were up 11-3. You said
11-3 in the fourth,
and lost 14-11.
Yeah.
Their pitching, which we were, saying was the best in the Big 12,
especially their starters,
was not over the weekend. It just wasn't. Flat out wasn't. And their bullpen was even worse. So
it was bad.
We'll have to see what happens. Obviously, Texas plays A&M, I believe, in the midweek. You'll play New Mexico in the midweek. And then you meet for a series this weekend, which could very well, whoever wins the series is probably number 2 in my Big 12 power rankings.
Going in next week for sure.
Behind TCU, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's going to be one of those years too, because of how early this series is, that there's going to be a lot to figure out, and teams are going to still figure out things after this series. But early in the year, this is obviously it's not a must-win series. If you want to win a Big 12 championship, it's a must-win series, right? Yeah. Like whoever wins it has a leg up in the Big 12 championship, just because I don't see Texas and Texas Tech losing a ton of series in the Big 12. Yeah. Other than maybe to TCU, because I do think TCU is the best team in the Big 12 so far. And TCU, talk about finding ways to win games. TCU's just found ways to win ball games. Kudos to them. I don't care how many one-run games you play in. If you figure out ways to win one-run games, that makes you a very talented baseball team.
And it puts you in a lot of situations where you have to play tough baseball. And that,
no doubt. And they've played a good schedule.
Non-con, I'd rather play 1-run games than 30-run games.
Yes, I agree. I'd rather play UC San Diego and Arizona State and USC and Arizona over, Gardner Webb and Texas Southern. Now Tim Tadlock, he was talking on the coaches show, or maybe it was a pregame interview. Jamie Lent asked him, what went into scheduling, teams like Texas Southern and Gardner Webb, and he said, well, we just went out and tried to find teams that would come to Lubbock and play us.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of teams that want to come to Lubbock and play Texas Tech because they know that you're probably going to get swept. You may get lucky and take 1 out of the 3 or 1 out of the 4, but you're probably going to get swept in Lubbock if you're a mid-major or somebody like that. So, and there's not a lot of high majors and Power 5 teams that want to come to Lubbock and play you here.
I wish Dallas
and get a series here.
Weekend series with you.
I wish to. Yeah, I really wish they would. Now, it doesn't help Dallas Baptist any if they come here and get swept.
Sure it does.
Purposes and all
RPI,
it doesn't hurt their RPI, but it also doesn't help them say, hey, look, we went to Lubbock. I know Texas Tech's recruiting you. We went to Lubbock, beat them 2 out of 3. You could just stay in Dallas and be just as good as Texas Tech. Things like that occur, but yeah. And of course, Baylor goes on and
still playing
sweeps Oral Roberts this weekend.
Still playing Arkansas. That was awesome.
Oral Roberts is not that good this year.
Yeah,
I'm going to go out on a limb. Here's our Overreaction Monday and say Oral Roberts ain't making it to Omaha this year.
No. Wofford has 136 runs.
Go Terriers.
In D1 baseball. St. Louis, Coastal Carolina, and Evansville round out the top 5. Who is number 1 and how many runs do they have?
Texas Tech.
Texas Tech. How many runs?
A lot. How many runs did you say second place had?
136.
Texas Tech probably has 157.
2.
Okay. It's close.
152.
Put another crooked line on the bottom of that 7. I'm right.
On 2 less hits than Evansville. They're second place in hits. TCU at 145, number 3 in hits. So, there you go.
By the way, pretty good Damian Bravo has a base hit in every single game this year.
And he's hitting 570.
Every single game.
I mean,
he's got an 11-game hit streak.
Scoring margin, even with a couple of losses, plus 8.7. That's number 2 in the country. Behind Texas A&M, number 3 is Coastal Carolina. Wofford and Florida State round out the top 5. Nobody in the Big 12 in the top 10. Runs per game, obviously number 1. St. Louis closing in, though, at 13.3. They must have not played nearly as many games as you.
No.
Hits per game, number 1 in the country. What I'm trying to say is the offense is good. The offense is good.
Now,
Wofford
playing Texas Southern helps.
Yeah, Wofford has 2.6 errors per game on the opposing team.
Also, Texas Tech's 2 losses are against the number 6 team in the country and the number 8 team in the country. And it's not like you just got – Oregon State kind of put it on you a little bit late, but Tennessee didn't blow you out by any means. And you got their number 1 guy, Tennessee's, on Friday. You got both of their number 1 guy in the starting rotation and their number 1 guy out of the bullpen. And Oregon State is just very good. Like, Oregon State is going to win the Pac-12. And I don't know that anybody else is going to be close in the Pac-12, maybe other than Arizona.
Going back to last year, TCU is 17-game winning streak at home. Do you want to guess Texas Tech's home winning streak?
At home? Yeah. Going back to last year?
Yeah.
Who'd you play in the final series last year at home? That would help me.
I think you won 2 out of 3 in that series. If that helps you. Depends which 2 you won, though.
I don't know.
It's 8.
8, yeah. I was going to say 7 or 8.
So there you go. And you have another opportunity.
Obviously 6 this year.
Yeah. You play away. That's why I was trying to give you the 2 wins.
Yeah.
You play away against New Mexico, and then you're back home against Texas this weekend.
Yeah, back home against Texas, and then a home midweek against who do you have in the midweek?
After Texas?
Yeah, after Texas.
One game at a time, man. I'm focused on New Mexico. Mostly I just don't remember. I got it right here, though.
Yeah, I got it right here, too. Here we go.
New Mexico State.
Yeah, New Mexico
We
State.
played one against New Mexico. RPI 171. All right. Why is that going off?
If you look at Texas Tech's schedule, the way it sets up, especially if you can win this first conference series, just take 2 or 3 against Texas. I'm okay with that. Don't need a sweep. Sweeps are great. 2 out of 3 against Texas would be awesome. But you have New Mexico State at home. I don't care about midweeks, to be honest. I think midweeks are kind of just silly. They're only
Especially
so
with
that you don't have
12 games this year.
Yeah, they're only so that you don't have to practice by yourself during the midweek. That's the only thing a midweek is good for. Is it's like a glorified scrimmage. Is what a midweek is, because you're getting guys in that probably aren't going to get a ton of innings in conference play. You're probably gonna catch Dylan Maxey a lot. You're gonna catch the other freshman from Rockwall. Hopefully you get Bazell back. I know it was a tough week for him. It's been a tough week for the whole team. By the way, I haven't really ever been a part of that type of injury in a practice, but I can only imagine it happening and to a teammate. And that's just your focus is not in the ballpark. And so for them to sweep Gardner-Webb this weekend was actually really great. With what happened to Trumbello in the middle of the week with the inter squad and everything else, and you can understand why Kevin Bazell has taken a step back as well, on that in that scenario. But you have at Baylor and then BYU at home, then at UCF. UCF is a 1-loss team, but who have they played?
All right, we're getting ahead of ourselves again. Let's look at the.
I'm just saying, I like the way the schedule sets up early.
Speaking on that, WarrenNolan.com has the projected wins, whatever. Same as the basketball. They take the RPI, they take the rankings, and they kind of project a bunch of games ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Currently, Texas Tech is not predicted to lose a game until March 30th.
In baseball?
Yeah. So Warren Nolan, RPI-based metrics. Wow. They're going to sweep Texas, sweep Baylor, sweep BYU, and
win 2 or 3 at UCF.
And win 2 or 3 against UCF, and all the midweeks winning 2. I don't think that'll happen. I think you probably go. I would love to go 2 for 3 against Texas. Of course, with how your offense is hitting it, the law. Now I know you're playing who you're playing, but you're pretty hot right now.
Yeah.
I did want to talk about the lineups. A couple of questions. Creature 799. No, you can't join. Why would you want to join? All these bots, man. So Mac Hewer, let's start the rotation. Mac Hewer gets his first start against Gardner-Webb. It's fine. But the lineup. Okay. Right now, Austin Green seems to be in the lineup regardless of what he's doing. DH, second base. I believe he played 1 in center.
Yeah.
And the rest in left. So Austin Green is right field. Austin Green is definitely on the field. Damian Bravo is definitely on the field.
Yeah.
He's got base hits everywhere, and he's playing left field, and he's locked it down. TJ Poppy, Cade McGee, definitely on the field. Bazell, before this little hiatus, definitely on the field, but I think you could say Maxey and Rivers are going to split time.
Yeah.
So there's 5. Notice I haven't said Gavin Cash yet. Those 5 seem to be locked in. And early in the baseball season, you're pretty well locked in, but there's some tinkering going on. And the lineup wise, you've been tinkering massively.
A lot, yeah.
It seems like Owen Washburn is the next guy who is likely in. He's played in a bunch of games. He's hit well. If he's not in the outfield with Green and Bravo in the corners and Harrelson in center, Owen Washburn is the DH. Yep. I think Green and Washburn both DHing makes a lot of sense. That leaves second base and first base as two positions that don't really seem locked up, which is banana lands because Gavin Cash, preseason Golden Spikes Award winner watch list, is not starting every game. And Landon Stripling, who started for him at least once, twice in the last 2 weeks, both Friday nights and maybe a Saturday too in the last 2 weekends, hit 2 home runs in a game and is mashing it at the law. So I don't know where you fit him in. I don't know where you fit Washington in or Washburn in. But I think Cash is the next guy that has to be in the lineup, which I've set him 8th, which is crazy. And then second base, Tracer Lopez has not hit well. Travis Sanders could be the guy. Could be the move.
Yeah.
But you also have Will Burns, who's played a little bit. I think second base will be the last spot that gets locked up. And hell, if you need Landon Stripling's bat in the lineup, maybe he's the second baseman. I don't know. But if you DH him, who's do you sit Harrelson with the defense and play Austin Green in center and go Washburn, Green, and Bravo? I mean, that's not the best defensive outfield you've had. Let's say it that way. No. Of course, you've had some pretty stellar defensive outfields. That might be one of the better offensive outfields, especially if Bravo hits 600 all year. Which he won't, but he could.
No. I think second base is you're exactly right. Out of those 9 spots, second base is the next one to get solidified because Travis Sanders is just going to swing it better than Tracer Lopez. Tracer Lopez has struggled at the plate. I think Tracer Lopez probably is a better defensive second baseman. I don't know that it's like by a ton of metrics. If you're looking at it that way, like wins above replacement defensively, I don't know that Tracer Lopez is just off the charts more than what Travis Sanders gives you at second base. So in that regard, Travis Sanders, I think, is your second baseman until he proves otherwise. Because other than that, the other two behind him would be Tracer Lopez and then Will Burns. And Will Burns is still in the mix, sort of, for the outfield. You still got Drew Woodcocks that could be in the mix for an outfield position too, if someone doesn't perform well. But yeah, you've hit the ball well enough, and Stripling could very easily, if he's hitting it at this clip and keeps hitting over 400, then maybe Stripling is a guy who moves out into right field or wherever.
But instead of.
That's the thing. I don't know instead of. And I think Gavin Cash gives you more defensively at first base. Obviously, yesterday he was fantastic at first base. He struggled a little bit at the plate, but he leads your team in home runs. He's got 3. Stripling right behind him with 2 in the same game. Gavin Cash led off for you in a game this weekend, which was very weird.
That was my next. That was my next thing. I want to get back to that.
Yeah,
but didn't Gavin Cash have 4 doubles and a home run?
Yes.
In one game?
Yeah. So he's getting to start swinging it better. Now, the first weekend is what really threw his average off because he struggled. I think he got 1 hit in that first weekend at Minute Maid. I mean, at Globe Life. So he struggled in the first weekend, but he's starting to find his groove, especially at home. And I think Gavin Cash is going to start becoming the same guy that we saw a little bit last year. Obviously, pitchers are going to be more cognizant, and I think we'll get back to it, obviously, but that's why you put him at the top of the order, because they won't pitch around him so much at the top of the order. Should he be in the middle of the order with runners a runner at second and 2 outs, they're not going to lose to Gavin Cash. They're going to pitch around and make him make a mistake. A lot like what we saw with Josh Young in his final year here, where he had a great year. He was the Big 12 Player of the Year his sophomore year, and then struggled. I say struggled. He wasn't as solid at the plate. He pressed a little bit because they pitched around him a lot more. So I think Gavin Cash is going through that similar style of being pitched around, especially once you get into Big 12 play, that'll happen. So, but I think Gavin Cash is still going to be the first baseman unless he, has an 0 for 7 or an 0 for 8 or something like that in the middle of conference play. And then Landon Stripling comes in and goes 2 for 4, 2 for 4, 2 for 4. And then all of a sudden you're trying to figure out, like, is this young buck playing or is my guy that's the Golden Spike Award nominee playing? And you got to go with who's hot in baseball. Baseball is, what have you done for me lately? It's not, what did you do for me last year? It's, what have you done for me lately? And that's all that matters in this game.
All right, let's just, for gets and shiggles, look at the Saturday lineup for Texas Tech. Weekend lineup, as much as you can. It is what it is. It's who you're playing. Gavin Cash, who again is hitting 256, but is Gavin Cash leading off. He hit 4th, 5th, 6th all last year. Travis Sanders, who's not played much at all this year up to Saturday, batting 2nd. Cade McGee is what it is, hitting 300, 3-hole. Owen Washburn has been mashing DH. New guy DHing Garrett Bohm. And then you have Bravo. What'd you say? Bame. Odd way to say Bame. Damian Bravo, Drew Woodcocks. Oh, this is a pinch. Hold on. Let me read it right. That was a pinch hit DH. Cash, Sanders, McGee, Washburn, Bravo, Green, Pompey, Harrelson, Maxey. Forgot the game was 100-3.
Yeah, 29, but yeah.
So Gavin Cash, here's my thought. Here's my thought process. Is it weird for him to bat leadoff? Yes, he's a natural power hitter. He's not out there looking for walks or singles. Not just trying to get on base.
Is it weird college baseball wise? Yes. Is it weird if he were to hit, like, you put your power hitter at the top of the order in Major League Baseball?
Yeah.
Not anymore. That's analytically, that's where teams are going to now. So it makes sense.
Well, let me get there.
Okay, in some metrics.
Now, if everyone's pitching around him and he's Jace Young in college baseball, and he's got a 500 on base percentage because nobody throws him strikes,
right? All
of a sudden, hey, you're on base. Now, here's where I think it's actually sneaky genius for Tim Tadlock. This lineup is so damn deep.
It's stacked.
You basically have set your lineup to where Austin Green is the leadoff, right?
Yeah.
Because if you're just getting into it, you go Green, Pompey, Harrelson, Maxey, that's 4, and then all of a sudden Cash is batting 5th in an inning and knocking all those guys in. Right. Or if you look at it another way, Gage Harrelson is technically batting leadoff in the 8-hole, and Gavin Cash is batting 3rd. You just kind of start in the middle of your lineup. That's how it looks when you flip over your lineup a bunch of times. So is it odd to see Gavin Cash lead off a game? To my brain, old school baseball brain, it kind of is. But in college baseball, after you start the game, in baseball period, after you start the game, there's not really a leadoff hitter anymore. And when everybody hits 400, or at least has the potential to hit 400 in a lineup, and some guys are hitting 570, batting 7th, it just kind of is like, all right, just put them all out there and go right lefty a couple of times and then put your switch hitter in the middle. And it doesn't matter who's leading off because in the 3rd inning, you've batted around 3 times and Gavin Cash is batting 5th this inning and not 1st. So yeah, no, I don't know. It is what it is at this point with the lineup.
That's exactly why you do it. And a guy like Gavin Cash, he's a guy that I think he separates balls and strikes pretty well as a power hitter. He's going to swing and miss more than most because he is a power hitter, and power hitters swing and miss a lot more. But him in the leadoff spot, I think makes it. Whenever I saw that, I was like, I kind of like this because it gives you that opportunity. Especially you hang a 0 in the top half of the first inning. First couple pitches could find their way out into the track and field complex, and you're up 1-0. And like you said, that's the only time that the leadoff spot matters. Like there's tons of leadoff spots throughout the game. It can be the 6 hole, it can be the 4 hole. He can lead off an inning. It could be the 9 hole, and the 9 hole. I like you putting Gage Harrelson, like you talked about, in the 8 hole with Maxey or whoever's catching in the 9 hole. If Bazell's catching, I think Harrelson is probably the 9 hole, and you're moving everybody else down a peg with Bazell in the middle of the lineup. And you could see Bazell in the 3 hole, McGee moved down to the 5, and you have that top of the order with Cash, Sanders, Bazell, Washburn in the middle, McGee at 5, whoever, and then Austin Green at 6, Pompey at 7. Who else am I forgetting? A second.
Whoever's playing second.
Damian Bravo. Yeah, maybe he's at 6. Then Pompey at 8 or 7, and then Pompey at 8. I mean, you're talking about a freshman hitting 8 hole that's absolutely been fantastic.
Yeah.
And he made some plays on defense yesterday that are just they're plays that freshmen just don't make in college baseball a whole lot. He's the real deal.
He's made a lot of those, and then like 1 or 2, like okay.
Yeah, he's freshman. Yeah, he's made a couple freshmen.
Take a step and just throw it to first there, man.
Yeah.
Lupton Drinking Club says, what I miss.
We said TCU's the best team in the Big 12 again.
Still ranked number 1 in the power rankings.
Yeah.
And until they lose, I guess. I still have Texas number 2. I don't know. Maybe I've just seen Texas Tech play in those pro stadium whatevers, and I'll just until we play this weekend, I'll put Texas at 2, and then Texas Tech maybe at 3 already. Are you bored with Texas Tech's schedule? No, it's not boring to score 40 runs in a game. It's not.
No,
it's not.
Here's the thing too: is it's a and people can say all they want about it doesn't tune you. And I know Lupton this in what you're saying, but they can say I've seen this on Twitter. Like, why are we playing cupcake schedules? Like Texas Southern was a cupcake, right? Gardner Webb's not a terrible pitching staff. They've got guys that can bump it up there in the mid-90s. You saw one of the guys throwing a really heavy sinker yesterday that gave you trouble. Now he walked 7 guys, which is why they're pitching at Gardner Webb, not at South Carolina. That's the difference in the pitcher, at South Carolina or Texas Tech or TCU, wherever, is that they throw 95, but they find the strike zone. A guy that throws 95 and can't find the strike zone is pitching at a mid-major.
I'm going to say something that sounds negative. Lubbock's in the middle of nowhere, and Texas Tech is really good.
Yeah,
it's easier for TCU in Fort Worth, even though you're probably going to lose when you go to TCU. It's not like people think they can beat TCU. You're probably going to lose.
Right.
It's easier to get to Fort Worth than it is to Lubbock. I mean, imagine Gardner Webb coming here and getting 60 runs pieced on him in 2 days, and then still coming out and playing tough on Sunday. I mean, that's pretty good. That's a tough game and a tough series to warm up with. Everyone's getting at bats. But what I'm getting at is Texas only won 31 games last year.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago when you scheduled – who did you beat like this a couple of years ago? Maybe 20 –
Well, you beat TCU like this a couple of years ago at home.
No, 21 or 22.
2 games where I think you won 21-3 and 19-4, something like that.
Yeah, those games.
Then you played a 14-inning game.
Anyways, they lost their whole coaching staff like the week before they came down here, and their whole pitching staff went with their coaching staff. So my point is, Winthrop. No, it wasn't Winthrop. My point, Mary. I don't know. My point is, you expect these teams to have a pulse when they get here. You can't help that they didn't field a good team. You just schedule who you schedule. Well, and again, it's harder to get teams to come to Lubbock and then good teams to get to Lubbock. Now you're going
Gardner Webb
to Arkansas.
You've got Stanford coming here.
In the midweeks, yep, that was a home and home. Because Stanford isn't scared. They'll show up in all black and say it's your funeral.
Like they did in the regional that year.
Yeah, super regional.
Yeah, super. At least it was the super regional. Spanked you in your home ballpark. But Gardner-Webb is a team that they're not scared to go play anybody. I mean, you look at who they played. They played South Carolina in the midweek, played really well against South Carolina in Columbia. Tough place to play, tough ball club to play against. South Carolina is going to be at the top of the SEC again this year. They're going to be a tough team. But Gardner-Webb is not this pushover squad. I mean, now you can say, yeah, they kind of are. They lost to North Carolina A&T and St. Joseph's and Canisius, but they played at South Carolina. You know, you can say what you want about that. They lose 7-1. South Carolina, like I said, good ball club. You don't get completely blown out on the road. Lose 10-7 at Texas Tech on a Friday night. Then you let Texas Tech score 500 runs on you on Saturday, but then you come back and play really well on a Sunday. So, and I say the offense was good. The pitching staff was horrendous yesterday for Gardner-Webb. But that's what I say is there's a big difference in the pitching staffs. Like you'll have guys that can bump it in the mid-90s at these mid-majors. But they're guys that don't throw enough strikes. Like you could throw hard and not throw enough strikes and you're still not going to be very good. So that's the difference in your mid-major clubs versus who you're going to get on the weekends. And it's like Tim Tadlock said, it's hard to schedule teams. Like you scheduled Michigan a couple years ago to come here. You scheduled Gonzaga a couple years ago to come here. That's where you got to see Caden McGee for the first time. And now he's a Texas Tech Red Raider. But you've had teams that have come to Lubbock. But like you said, it's a lot easier to get teams to go to Fort Worth and play at Lupton and TCU because they can go get their butt whipped and then get on a plane right then and there and go home. I think Gardner-Webb probably had to fly commercial from Lubbock to Dallas or drive on a bus back to Dallas and then fly back to South Carolina. So that's the difference, especially for mid-majors that don't have a ton of money. Now you're going to pay them a little bit for coming here, but they're not going to it's not like football where they're getting millions. They're getting pennies on the dollar.
But also, just to the point of the question, it's not boring to score 30 runs in a game. It's really fun.
No. Well, it's not boring to win either.
Yeah.
If you were losing these games, I'd be pretty upset.
If you're playing Texas Southern and Gardner-Webb back-to-back weekend series, and it's, like old school New Mexico series, and it's 16-15, and the wind's going crazy, and if it's a back-to-back series like that, yeah, I'm bored of it, and I'm worried about the season. But right now, I'm not worried about the season at all. I think your strength of schedule is pretty weak so far, but I think the Big 12 is going to help. And I think the RPI is going to be good enough if you win games, which I think this team can, to do everything you want to do. Now, it's going to be a little bit of a thinner margin because you play two teams like that early, but it is what it is with the schedule. I'm not going to complain too much about the schedule.
Yeah. And it's like I talk about too, midweeks are tough to schedule as well.
Yeah.
But in the midweeks, you're playing Stanford at home. You're going to Baum Stadium in Arkansas. The last few years you've flown to Florida State and played at Florida State and then come back and played a conference series at Oklahoma State last year. So
you have a lot of midweeks that look good on your resume coming up.
Right. So that's probably why you put these certain series on the schedule for a reason. Especially with a team that you don't know a ton about your pitching staff quite yet, which is good for a pitching staff to get some of these games where you can see a bunch of arms. You can see like who's going to be, like Mac Hewert, give him a chance to get a start. See what he can do in the starting rotation. I thought he was very good. His stuff plays up. It's really nice. Gardner-Webb's not a terrible offensive team. So really like the way he worked and in conference play, like you're going to get enough competition in the Big 12 conference this year with the extra two series now in conference play where you can put two of these series on the map, on the schedule early and then just go through the gauntlet late in the season. Now, TCU has played a tough non-conference schedule. Don't get me wrong. TCU's probably played the toughest non-con in the whole entire Big 12 conference. So, in that regard, that's why TCU is number one at the top of the power rankings.
But
Texas has also played Houston Christian, which is worse than Texas Southern and Gardner-Webb. Yeah. Texas Southern and Gardner-Webb are better than Houston Christian.
Okay, TCU has played the toughest non-con in the Big 12, but I don't think they've played like a unreasonably tough schedule.
No, it hasn't been like they're playing, top 15 team, top 25 teams
all over. They haven't had Arkansas schedule. Arkansas is an absolute monster.
Arkansas has been playing.
I'm trying to find TCU in the strength of schedule rankings here, which early doesn't really map out, but TCU has the third toughest Big 12 schedule behind West Virginia, Oklahoma State. Oh, fourth in Houston. Nope, this is this is from this can't be this year. Oh, well, yeah, maybe. Everybody's played 10 games. Played a bunch of teams. Arkansas, man. Arkansas is 9-2, 7-1 at home, 2-1 neutral. They've played James Madison, who's RPI 47. They're 8-3. Arkansas took 3 of 4. Then they beat Oregon State, lost to Oklahoma State in 14 innings. So only 2 losses. Then beat Michigan. Michigan stinks, but
Michigan's bad this year.
And then they play a 2-8 Grambling State and beat them by 20. And then they play a 3-game series against Murray State, who's RPI 60, and sweep them. So, you know what? That's not as daunting as I thought it was.
No. Oregon State's only loss on the year, though, to Arkansas. So far.
11-1. Oklahoma State, that's a sneaky good schedule. They're 7-4. They had a 3-game series against Sam Houston State, who terrible RPI, but they're 8-4. ACU is 8-5. They beat ACU. They lost 2 games to Sam Houston somehow. Then they beat Michigan and Arkansas. Lost to Dallas Baptist. Watched that game. That was funny. Ruled them. And then swept Central. See, Central Michigan, everybody's playing a bad series. Everybody's playing a bad series. I reject the schedule talk. That Texas Tech schedule is bad. I reject it.
Everybody does play a series like that.
Everybody is. That's the best schedule in the Big 12, and you're playing. And Arkansas's the best schedule in the world, and they're playing Murray State and Grambling for the last 4 games. Like, come on. Yeah. That's the best schedule out there. Nebraska's the number 5 schedule in the country. They're 7-3, number 3 in the RPI. They lost to Texas Tech, and then they played a 4-game set against Grand Canyon and 3 against Charleston. Charleston RPI 204, but they're 7-3. Come on. That's the number 5. Baylor, Texas Tech, and Oklahoma. Grand Canyon and Charleston, that's the number 5 schedule. I mean, the numbers are juiced right now because it's so early, but come on. Come on. I don't even see Texas Tech, though. I can
Texas Southern doesn't help Texas Tech any.
I can concede that Texas Tech is more to that point than the rest of them. LSU 126. Still scrolling. Texas Tech 145. Opponent's record 50-49. Opponent's record. To put it other way, Arkansas's opponent record is 69-24. So you've been playing some bumps. I'm not gonna argue that. I will not argue that you're not playing bumps. TCU's opponent record 55-48. So talking about schedules here.
TCU's played half the Pac-12 already.
By the way, former Texas Tech wide receiver Kiki QT starting training camp with the UFL Let's see. With DC, are they the Defenders still? I don't remember.
I can't remember what they're called now.
But we had the flip. But they started training camp with pads today, the UFL.
They are still the DC Defenders.
If you lose, your strength of schedule increases. Yeah, the strength of schedule is wild. This early in the season, it's not even worth looking at. I don't know why I spent so much time on that. Schedule does get fun. Yeah, TCU schedule with the Big 12 coming up and the Red Raiders schedule both heat up considerably. And I would take this schedule over last year's schedule any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I think you can have the same record at the end of this year, especially with all the extra Big 12 games. You have so much better weekend series. What was your best weekend series last year outside of conference play? Iowa, who ended up
at Iowa.
No, it was at home.
No, the year before was at Iowa. That's right.
Because I wore like 6 hoodies to that game.
yeah, that's right.
Anyways, that's all I got. I wanted to mention the USFL thing. It's not the USFL anymore. It's the UFL.
UFL.
XFL, UFL. Kiki.
XFL, USFL combined.
There's a couple of more Red Raiders. I'll have to go find them. I just saw that Kiki Cutie for the first time has signed with that league. And so I wanted to say that. And that they started practice today, I guess.
They reported a training camp on February 24th, but I think they had a full week of like.
Yeah, this is their first padded practice.
Yeah.
Sonny Gray is trending. He's already got hamstring tightness. Classic.
Imagine
Sonny
that.
Gray.
Yeah, classic Sonny Gray.
Did you see, just a little bit of Rangers talk, did you see Jordan Montgomery is trending back again to sign with the Rangers?
No, I did not see that.
So maybe Dallas Radio was talking about it. I have so many sources in my brain. Not like insider sources, just like sources of information. I do not remember where I heard that from. But that was last week I saw that he was trending back toward 4 new teams have reached out to Scott Boras about Blake Snell and Jordan Montgomery since the start of spring training. That's 6 minutes ago.
Blake Snell would be a great acquisition. Josh Donaldson retired today.
Good.
Official.
Good. The bringer of rain.
He will be bringing no more rain. He hasn't brought rain for a few years since 2015.
So nobody, I don't see any Rangers smoke anymore. Oh, maybe not. Who knows? All right. College baseball on. Man, I was just looking at it. College baseball on Tuesday. College basketball also on Tuesday, I believe.
Yeah, Oklahoma State.
And then Saturday, and your regular season's over.
Yeah. Yep, final game. Baylor at home.
That's a pretty good weekend of sports. Baylor at home in basketball.
Texas at home
you
for baseball.
On down to, or actually, you probably
go from baseball to basketball, I think.
Yeah, I think so. But that's a pretty good weekend. Pretty good.
Pretty good. Yeah.
Last time
the Baylor game's at 5 p.m.
Baseball at 3.
Yeah.
The last time you were hosting the Longhorns in Lubbock, you had a walk-off on Friday and Saturday. Walk-off steal of home and a walk-off
steal of home.
A walk-off grand salami.
That's right.
I think that was on Saturday, and then you lost on Sunday.
Yeah.
I believe I went to the Friday and Sunday games. Missed the grand salami.
Yeah, I was at the walk-off steal of home. I didn't get a chance to go to the other two.
So, all right. That's all I got.
You want to give a prediction for tomorrow Tech basketball?
Pain.
It's going to be an ugly game. I just have that feeling.
Yeah.
Like NGIA.
I'll say this: 61-56. Rock fight.
Rock fight. Yeah. Matchup predictor says Texas Tech 69.4% favorite.
Yeah.
No odds. No over under. Yeah, Texas Tech 69. Oklahoma State 63.
I think it more likely is going to be 79, 75, something crazy, but I'll go 60. What I say 60, 61, 59, 65, 59.
Yeah. You think Darian Williams plays 40 minutes again?
Yeah, who else?
Good point.
I mean, Demarion Williams is practice squad at this point. I don't know what he's.
Yeah, Lamar Washington too.
Kyron Lindsey didn't travel to West Virginia, so why would he travel here?
Yeah.
Lamar Washington's playing 5 minutes a game. Kerwin Walton can't play the 4. I mean, he's keeping up at the 3, but you have a bunch of 2 guards on this team. And Demarion Williams is really the only 4.
Demarion Williams is a 3.
Which
yeah, he can play the 4.
Well, yeah, Devin Cambridge was your only 4.
Yeah.
And Warren Washington really is your only 5.
Yeah.
I would like to see Warren Washington and Robert Jennings play together to get
that can make Robert better.
Demarion Williams some breaths on the sideline, but if Warren doesn't play, then you can't play them together. All right, that's all I got.
True. That's all I got. I'm out. Fresh out of ideas. Peace.
See you Wednesday.